All right, gentlemen, when it comes to our definitive Power Fist build guide 7.0, we're going to be looking at the Bulwark, and we're going to look at 3 different class builds here that you're going to pair with the Power Fist with the same perks that they have right there. So the first one we're looking at, this is my favorite build to run. We're going to look at a damage build, and then we're also going to look at a defensive build that all pair very nicely, and we're going to go through why we're using the perks that we are. So right here, what I am considering the definitive build for the Power Fist themselves is we are going with our perfect parries are still going to give us our AoE damage and our shocknade. Our armor is going to give us knockback resist. If we are surrounded by 5 enemies, we are going to have 25% range damage reduction. And the reason we're taking that is because we're going to pair that with some perks on the Power Fist that are giving us 20% range damage reduction while we charge our shots. So for a total of 45% range damage reduction when we're surrounded and trying to charge up. And then we have our contested health fades 50% slower and 20% range damage and charged melee damage from our prestige perks there. So when it comes to our banner being active, we're going to have damage over time, 20% team base damage if they're in the banner, and then we're going to also take our refill team contested health, and 50% increased cooldown is going to be added to this banner as well, so always remember that. But with the prestige perk that you're going to be taking Masterful Defense, you should be getting your ability charge a lot faster than normal, so that is going to kind of even that out. And a big reason I like to still take the contested health when it comes to the Power Fist here is because it just lets you be very, very aggressive with your weapons and not really worry about health as much, because you know you're always going to be all right when it comes to that. All right, so when we're going to our next build here, it is going to be our damage build. This is going to give you the max damage that you can do with the Power Fist. We're going to be switching off of our 25% damage reduction for the 25% extra damage in our shocknades. And then as well as we will no longer have our contested health attached to our banner, we are going to go with our 20% duration and 20% team damage reduction instead. So what the awesome thing about this is you can really pair, or you can really drop your banner a lot throughout the operation. It fills up really fast. And then on top of that, it's lasting 20% longer. So you're just getting the benefits for you and your entire team longer than normal. But you are losing a ton of defense when you take this build, but it is a lot of fun. And anybody, as long as your skill level is high enough, this is an extremely fun build to run. And, you know, when you get good enough to run this build, this is the build that like you're kind of trying to work towards, because it's just going to give you the most damage output. It's just you have to be good enough with your defense to achieve running this build. And then anybody who is struggling with the previous 2 builds we just talked about, they can come right here to our defense Power Fist build. So the main things we're changing is we now are going to get when our armor is depleted, we will have 25% less health damage. And then on top of that, we're going to have our 25% range damage when we're surrounded. And we will get 1 armor back every time that we do a non-finisher gun strike. And that is what pairs up really good with our signature armor advance. So we should have our immunity to heavy hits and knockback for most of the operation, because your armor is just going to stay up in this build right here. So very, very powerful. You're going to have your contested health banner. And as I said before, anybody who's running through the operations, like random queuing in, and you're having problems surviving, take this build. You're going to do less damage, but you're going to have a much, much better chance of surviving throughout the operation. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the Power Fist themselves and some of the perks we're taking advantage of. So we're going for our 15% base damage altogether. And the main reason you're staying on this bottom line at the beginning here is because of heavy preparation. So this is going to allow your fist to charge 30% faster. Extremely important. Just you want this perk no matter what on these. And then I like this one. When your health is below 30%, you take 50% less health damage while preparing heavy attacks. So basically, when you get very low on health and you're charging up your attacks, you know, if you're in certain builds, you almost can't get hit. And just 50% less health damage is huge. And then this is another must-take one right here, is Power Wave Forward Distance. This makes these as effective, one of the most effective in range that you can have when it comes to a melee. And then while performing heavy attacks, you take the 20% less range damage. And this is the one I was talking about earlier that pairs up really nice with some of the range damage we had going on with our class build. And then this one's not really, these two really aren't that important, but I do like just grabbing the extra 10% to the majors. And then I like following blow a lot. So I like adding this onto my thrust jab, mostly because it just basically gives you a heavy hit in replace of a light hit on those certain occasions when you can pop it in there. So very, very good build right here. Even if I run the assault, I run this similar build. And just for like an overall playstyle with the Power Fist, you're really trying to make sure you can get at least one charge in, because the single charge now is extremely effective. And when it comes to ranged enemies, you're more or less trying to get a single charge, because you really can't charge up twice. And if you're dealing with ranged enemies, trying to charge too long is just going to get you killed. So you really have to be careful with that. And then when it comes to melee enemies, that's when you can really take advantage of double charging up, because it's just a lot easier to get into your double charge. So when it comes to ranged enemies, you're more or less trying to, you know, at least get in a cannon punch to throw a stagger on them, and then follow your cannon punch up with a single charged attack. And like I said, the single charge on the Power Fist, after the patches that they've made in these last couple patches, makes the Power Fist one of the best melee weapons in the game. Okay, so we are going to get into an operation right here, just to kind of show you, give you a little strategies to use when you're running with the Power Fist. And then on top of that, it's really going to show you how versatile the Bulwark is now when it comes to his range damage, his melee damage. He can really tie both together really nicely depending on the team dynamic. If he has a chance to get in there and, you know, apply his parries to really take advantage of a lot of his mass damage, then he can do that. But in times when he, you know, his teammates are really effective at range damage and you can't really get close enough to get those parries off fast enough before the enemies are wiped out, you can take advantage of your heavy bolt pistol, and it makes a huge difference in the range damage department for this for the class for sure.
Demolitions deployed. Trigger detonation only when the main swarm is empty of plugs. That can act around to coordinate our efforts of the forest. Deploy the range. That one's going to be retained. Press the attack, brothers. We crush the ravenous brood. Fresh magazine. Waves like darkness flag. Fresh cut. Inserting rounds. The Emperor sees. Master at my... Approaching the Astra Militarum camp. It is deadly quiet. The camp seems deserted, Captain. Aside from some Xenos scum. Talasa, you need to acquire the Astra Militarum demolition codes required to deploy and arm their ordnance. Source one from any soldier you see, alive or otherwise. Sweep complete. There's nothing here. Failed that order. Most of the equipment is in shambles. Try searching the bodies. I have the codes, brothers. Captain, the demolition codes are secured. Proceed to the Prometheum refinery and complete the demolition preparations. There is no safe ground. Stay dead. It's the forge. Reload. There is no going back, brothers. Blockage is no more. The lifeblood of the Astra Militarum. Let us make good use of it.
But the Imperial
some fun.
inserting rounds.
Aliens are running out of time. How close are you to the Meridian facility?
We have been blessed with a swift arrival.
You are making good time. We are going to need it.
Hear the sacrifice of the many.
Use the codes to prime the bomb and finish its deployment into the crypt Promethean well. Cautiously, if you know what is good for you.
Deployment has begun.
Rites of activation have been observed. The generators hum in the machine god's name. Crane sequencing initialized. Delivering payload. Let us keep that swarm from ever reaching generator 4. Generator 4 is suffering mechanistic palpitations. Provide service for components alarmed.
Reclaim that generator from the enemy. Fresh cartridge. War strengthens our brotherly bond.
X-axis aligned by the Omnissiah's will.
This is a precise operation. We will have to hold it. Position to defend Generator 3.
Biological accumulation generator 3.
That pitiful Phoenix is one of horrible life. Carrion provides.
Attention. Crane drive is jammed. Perform the necessary cleansing to resume operation.
By his will, the crane is restored.
Drive train restored. Begin the course of locomotion methods.
We must intercept at Generator 2.
Y-axis aligned. Margin of error 0.0 nanometers. Present discretionary operation activated. Please note the omicide's proper alignment.
Ready to deploy.
Deployment sequence completed. Elevators are currently on the science functional oculus.
We are ready to ambush the enemy, Captain.
There is an observation platform overlooking the Cryptomedium fields. It will make a good vantage for your ambush.
Ammunition here. Together we go. Take flight.
Where shall I plant this flag?
We have arrived at Nozick's facility. Run distraction efforts as long as you can.
We will wreak such havoc upon the enemy, the Emperor will see it from terror.
I will hold you to that.
For the Emperor! For the Emperor! My Emperor, witness the holy pyre we start in your name! Alien Fresh cut. Location. Advance on our objectives.
Main swarm sighted. We await your signal, Captain. Dig in. We need that bomb triggered for optimal yield. Orbital scan estimates the bulk of the swarm will not be in position for a while yet. Keep your heads and get it done.
The enemy seeks to consume this place. You're prepared for control, The vermin are clawing at the walls. Tripping defensive. We're in the thick of it now.
The bulk of the swarm is continuing along the protected path. Continue holding.
The world has seen our swords consumed. Now can see see your weapon malfunction.
Let us prep another burn.
outmaneuvered!
Our banner awaits unfurled.
Releasing frag grenade!
There are more tyrannies seeking their deaths.
Halfway there, brothers. Keep it up.
Reload are nearly upon us!
We may be overrun, but never defeated.
Refuel is flowing. Light it when ready.
The swarm has all initiated burn. Be ready for my mark.
So, what's for second onslaught?
You are clear to detonate. Cook those rotten bastards.
Let us spark the flames of vengeance! We have laid waste to the enemy. A fine victory!
Tyranid biocides down 90% and falling. Swarm annihilation confirmed. Excellent work. Move to extract.
For the Emperor!
Extraction complete. Returning to orbit. Commendable work, brothers. You honor your chapter. Be ready for rearm, refit, and redeployment immediately.